We need to talk about a game that has been grabbing headlines recently for what I can only describe as its disgusting content. No Mercy is a game that was released earlier this month, and it was an adult game that was platformed on Steam. This isn't uncommon because Steam do have a lot of adult games on their platform, but this one took things way further than any other would dare to. In No Mercy, you take on the persona of a man who takes advantage of his female family members. He does this after discovering that his mum has cheated on his dad, and he uses it as leverage to have power and full control over her. He even uses it to justify having his way with her. And the game fully encourages you to do this. Non-consensual encounters are almost shown to be an appropriate punishment for women who act this way. So not only is this disturbing content on Steam in the first place, but there are almost no checks in place to make sure that the people viewing it and downloading it are actually over the age of 18. When you click on an adult game on Steam, or just any explicit game really that has a high age rating, it will ask you to enter your date of birth. No matter what date you actually have registered on your account, you can put any date here, and Steam won't even check it. The game does also ask if you are over 18 before you play, but again, you can just click yes, so it's really not a good form of verification. The game was on Steam, and disturbingly, it made its way onto the best sellers list. When all of this controversy was originally going on, before the game had actually hit the news, I remember I was looking through Steam's bestsellers trying to find a new game to play, and I noticed it because I thought it was a bit out of the ordinary that a game that seemed very aggressive towards women was just being advertised on the front page. I didn't click on it or anything at the time, but I did remember the title, so then when it popped up in the news just a few days later, things immediately clicked. And if it was on that list, that makes you wonder just how many people have bought and played this disgusting game. And because of the attention it was getting on Steam, it didn't take long for media outlets and also survivors of this type of abuse to speak out. A petition on change.org popped up, and the petition makers urged people to sign it so that they could force Steam to remove the game from their platform. It garnered over 70,000 signatures, and it proved to be successful. Even the UK, the game got so much attention that even the technology secretary spoke out. And shortly after, Valve did actually remove the game from sale in not only the UK, but also Australia and Canada. But there was still concern that the game would be playable in other countries because globally it was still available on Steam. And these concerns were amplified because the developer took a stand and they chose to defend their game. Developer Xeric Games said, "I fully understand that for many people such things may be disgusting, but during sex, people should really do what they want, as long as they don't harm anyone. If after reading our statement you still believe that such a game should not have been created, then we sincerely apologise to you. At the same time, we would like you to be a bit more open to human fetishes that don't harm anyone, even though they may seem disgusting to you. This is just a game, and although many people are trying to make it into something more, it remains and will continue to be a game." But they couldn't handle the continued criticism because shortly after publishing this statement, Xeric Games decided to pull their game from the Steam store, making the game unavailable to play globally through the platform. People have been told to be quiet about all of this because at the end of the day, in their words, they say that it is just a game. But no matter how you look at it, there is a difference between an adult game and a literal simulator. Unsurprisingly, the original response on Reddit was not good. Someone posted to the Steam subreddit trying to get the word out there about the petition to shut down the game, and one of the first comments said that it's a parent's responsibility to moderate what their kids see, not Steam's. In another comment, another person jokingly replies saying that we should ban every single game from the store and only allow Minesweeper if we're going to ban this one. And it's absolutely crazy that this was the response from Reddit, especially considering how the situation has actually turned out. Like I said, this isn't just some morally wrong game, but a genuine sim. And anyone who would even get any sort of enjoyment out of that needs to take a hard look at themselves. But of course, there were people who wanted to play it, and that they did. The game was being sold at around $10, and before it was banned, there was at least 480 people playing it consecutively. That means that the game made at least close to $5,000 before being taken down. So even though the developer may have gotten a lot of backlash, they still left the situation with a good amount of cash in their pocket. This isn't the only time that Steam have had some questionable games on their platform either, because in 2018, they had to pull another game from their store. It was called Active Shooter, and it was a game that the media dubbed as a school shooting simulation. An online petition gained over 180,000 signatures, and even anti-gun charities were speaking out about the controversial game. It took Valve only a couple of days to reply, and they did take it down, issuing a statement to media outlets all around the globe condemning not only the game, but the developer themselves. But for every game that is delisted, there is another bad one that will stay up, and one search of Steam will show you just that. We've got so many games that are just blatant cash grabs, where there is no quality whatsoever and the focus is just on random things like gooning, femboys, or even these games stay up, and it really highlights just how lacking Steam's quality control really is. There are developers who have genuine problems getting their games on Steam because of silly little nitpicks. So for adult games like the ones mentioned being able to slip through the cracks so easily, it's not only concerning, but extremely disheartening to legitimate indie game devs. With No Mercy in particular being promoted to thousands across Steam, there is a genuine argument to be made that it could desensitize people to the content that it is portraying. One person who spoke to the petition makers said that she is a survivor of this type of abuse, and she believes that there is such an embedded culture of not only misogynistic practices, but also abuse, belittling, and toxicity in the male gaming community. She said that with games like No Mercy being published, she is terrified of the effects and also the behaviours that games like this can produce. And it is terrifying to think that young men, especially those who are on platforms like Steam, could see these games, and they could take those values at face value, that women deserve this type of treatment. I'm not saying that that's how all men think, but there is a genuine argument to be made that the brain isn't fully developed when you are at a younger age, so seeing this content might influence you more, and therefore introducing them to disturbing topics like this through an interactive medium like gaming is a terrible idea. There is usually a line when people argue that it's just a game, you play it, you make the choices, but for No Mercy, that line is essentially non-existent. Not only does the game encourage abuse, but it also apparently rewards it through secret scenes and hidden endings. So the progress in this game is literally unlocked by having no mercy on the women around you, just like the title implies from the get-go. And when that's the case, you're creating a very dangerous digital fantasy. And it raises the question of if public backlash should really be Steam's main moderation tactic. They've notoriously taken a hands-off approach when it comes to moderating games on their platform, only really stepping in if they are legally obliged to do so. All you need to do to actually upload a game to Steam is build your store page and pay a small fee. When it's as easy as that, you're running all sorts of risks. And that's exactly why games like Active Shooter and No Mercy have been able to appear on the platform in the first place. In theory, the system they are running is good, but it's clearly being abused. And it gets worse when you realise that not only do they allow harmful games to survive on their platform, but they actually profit off of them, taking a 30% cut from every single sale. And for survivors of this stuff, people who have genuinely suffered, to see companies and individuals not only succeeding off of the trivialization of their trauma, but to literally profit off of their pain, that is incredibly disturbing. Imagine how you would feel if your pain was being treated as entertainment. But probably the most disturbing part is that as recently as today, this game was still being sold. And although the developer tried to stay secret about it, the truth was out there, and I found it. itch.io is an indie game marketplace where you can post your game to advertise it to thousands of people. It is used by people of all ages, has thousands of games, and No Mercy was one of them. They introduced their page by saying that their game is not a simulator, telling viewers not to believe the media and content creators who haven't played it for themselves. They also thank the media for spreading information about their game so widely, asking them why there isn't any sort of age verification on their articles, trying to move a genuine problem that their game has onto other people. They charge for this, by the way, and you can purchase it directly through itch.io, meaning that even though the developer may have lost the option of financial gain through Steam, they are still making money off their twisted project. One look at the comments and you can see just how many people are wanting to play this game as well. So many comments. Far too many for me to even begin to show in this video. The creator is still responding to comments as well, and someone asked him about the possibility of future DLC, to which they said they will provide more information on this next week. They're also still actively updating the game despite the backlash, with over 1,500 people having followed them in itch.io to keep up to date with every single update. They also have a subscribe star, which is basically a Patreon for adult content, and they have over 350 paid subscribers. The lowest tier is $1, but you don't really get much from this, just some early news updates. So a lot of these subscribers have probably chosen to go higher. So with everything combined, Steam, Subscribestar, itch.io, imagine just how much money this person is making from No Mercy. And just to give you an idea of the type of people who are playing this game, in the comments on the itch.io page, there has been some backlash. There is the occasional comment of someone calling out a developer, and in one case, one person who had actually survived through this stuff left a comment. Someone replies, "Cry me a river, why don't you?" While another tells people to mind their own business about what others are playing. These people don't care. No matter the amount of valid arguments we try to make about this, they will never get it through their head just how twisted this is. We will never get through to the players. And that's one of the most disturbing parts of all of this. Take this review from a completely normal and mentally sane individual, for example. It reads, "Nicole, the main character, best girl, very sexy, especially when bawling her eyes out. Loved watching her slowly break over time. More sobbing and gagging voiceover work would have been nice." In another one, someone says, "To hell with the woke agenda and their sensitive snowflakes. Awesome game. Keep up the good work. Don't let the closed-minded and easily offended stop you from making something great that so many enjoy. Keep it up and keep your head held high. The snowflakes can go find a woke agenda to deal with in some deep dark cave in the pits of hell." Another comment is similar, saying, "Fight censorship. Don't bend the knee to the feminist nonsense and the woke nonsense." And it really makes you wonder what these people actually consider to be woke and feminist. I think it's very reasonable to not want a game that literally encourages you to abuse women to be on a platform as massive and as popular as Steam, or anywhere for that matter. The term woke has essentially become slang for someone having basic human decency. If you call out harmful stuff or treat people like people, then suddenly you're woke. These blanket insults are becoming more harmful by the day, especially when they're being used to defend content like this. So it's not about being offended, it's about not normalizing and encouraging dangerous content, especially for an interactive medium like video games. If they see that as being offended, then I think the real problem is with them, not us. And there is a very slippery slope of normalization here. When platforms start to allow stuff as disturbing as this, then what is considered acceptable starts to change, and the lines can quickly blur into terrifying territory. And when something that is clearly not only controversial but completely messed up is defended by saying it's just a game, then that makes things even worse. And now that this game has started to reach the front page of Steam, how long until people try to take it further? If no action is taken, then worse content will start to pop up. Things that glorify crimes like this. I genuinely wonder what these people would say if a game that, say, lets you be a literal predator were to pop up. Would they keep the same attitude? Would they seriously say that it's just a game? What we don't tolerate now is crucial. This isn't about blatant censorship. This is about drawing a line in the sand before it disappears completely. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video, I really appreciate you. Like, subscribe, share the video, do all of that good stuff, it really helps the channel. Let me know in the comments what you think of this disturbing game and if you think Steam made the right decision. And check out my social media, I have Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky. Thank you so much to my Patreon supporters and YouTube members: Brooke, Entreprenaut, Morrigan, K4 Silver, Alex Rod, Based Finger, Carmilla, Tango Slime, Shoshka, Frozen Rosies, and Nisha Coles. I'll be back next week with another video, but if you want another right now, then YouTube thinks you'll like the video that's on your screen.